Hey guys, it's Joel from guntoter.org. Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a quick video on kind of my theory behind buying guns. And just to let you know right now, the whole idea here is that before you go off and buy any other guns, you should own at least one pistol and one rifle. And I'm going to get into that here in a little bit. Before anyone gets angry, at least about this part of it, I'm not saying you can't buy other guns, but I am saying that in the times we live in, we need to prioritize kind of where our money is going. I definitely went through a phase in my life, I kind of call it the shiny phase. Walk into a gun store and it was, ooh, shiny. And I'd walk out with some random gun, a revolver chambered in .45 ACP. I don't know what I intended to do with that, but it was fun to shoot. It's just a whole series of purchases like that where, they were fun. I enjoyed them, but realistically, they didn't help me prepare at all. And they weren't real useful other than just for fun and sitting in a safe. I'm not saying that's bad, but if you are buying those types of guns to the detriment of actual, guns for preparedness, then I think that, kind of the direction the country's headed, that's going to be a problem. So a couple things this video, I already put out a video about gear theory, which hopefully is showing up in a link right down here right now. I'm going to kind of follow the same thread. We're going to start off, with the defensive side of things and then kind of move more into the tactical side of things. So for the defensive side of things, I recommend that you have a pistol. And the reason I recommend that is that for now, the vast majority of your carry is going to be concealed carry. And for that, you need a pistol. With a pistol, especially, a standard capacity like a 15 to 17 round pistol, you can defend yourself outside your home. You can also defend your home. So it's a bit of a do-it-all type of gun. I also have made a video about choosing that pistol, which hopefully once again is showing up on a link down here. So I'm not going to belabor that point right now. But if you are a first-time gun owner, that's going to be what I would say needs to be your priority, is that defensive pistol and the accessories that go with that, such as holster, magazine holder, ammunition. That should be where your priority lies. And I'm going to get into mags and ammo a little bit later. Now, once you have that, I think you need to prioritize a rifle. Now, if you're the type of person who likes to get angry on the internet, go ahead and just hit pause, go off, listen to your Ramstein or whatever you need to get hyped, and then you can come back, because I'm probably going to make some people mad here, or at least mildly irritated, in a second. We are seeing right now, unfortunately, kind of a trend to where it is becoming more necessary to have a rifle. In the last few weeks, we have seen people needing to actually, have their rifles out as a show of force to stave off, some of the unrest that we've seen. Unfortunately, I don't think we're done with that yet. And the reason I don't think we're done with that is if you look back, for example, at the LA riots, which is probably the closest, or I should say the most recent kind of analogy that we have to what's going on right now. The worst riots weren't when the police officers beat Rodney King. The worst riots were at the end of the trial. And we haven't even started the trials for any of the police officers. So what I would expect is that we are going to continue to have unrest between now and the end of those trials, as the trials are going on. And then depending on the outcome of the trials, I think it's highly likely we're going to see even more. We also have a very contentious election coming up. So that's just kind of some thoughts. So when I say that you need a defensive rifle or a rifle, I specifically mean you need a mil-spec AR-15. And there's two sides to that. One is it needs to be mil-spec or better, but it needs to at least meet the mil-spec. That means, you know, barrel steel, how they test it, bolt steel, a whole bunch of different things. There's a reason those exist. You know, if you look at a lot of the guns out there today, a lot of the AR-15s, a lot of them just simply don't meet the mil-spec. The manufacturers have basically, you know, looked at cost and looked at who their target audience is and realized that there's a significant portion of the gun-owning public today that buys an AR just to have one. They're going to put a few rounds through it every now and then, and they don't need to meet the mil-spec because it's not going to be fired enough, you know, to ever break. That is simply not acceptable if this is a real gun for preparedness. I'll go ahead and say at least two people or two major gun manufacturers, Ruger and Smith & Wesson. Not all of Smith & Wesson's guns, but you need to look at their AR-15s because not all of them meet mil-spec. Ruger, I know for a fact, does not use the right steel in their bolts. Smith & Wesson does not either. Smith & Wesson also has the wrong steel in their barrels. So that's just two off the top of my head. Don't even get me started on all these little tiny back corner of the internet guys that are buying their stuff in bulk from China and making uppers, okay? Don't do it. Get a gun that at least meets mil-spec. Now, why do I say it needs to be an AR and not one of the dozens of other rifles out there that people love today? You know, why not a Tavor? Why not a Scar? Why not whatever? Why not a Bren? Quite simply, when we start getting to the point where we are going to be carrying rifles, we are probably going to be carrying rifles in teams. And when we start to get into teams, a lot of things change, right? We're not just thinking about the stock that we have. We have to start thinking about the stock that everyone has and how we can interoperate, how we can manage the logistics of that. Having a common rifle, like the most common rifle in America right now, the AR, makes all of that easier. It's easier to get ammo, it's easier to get parts, it's easier to find people who actually know how to work on them because they break. You know, it's easier to find magazines, it's easier to find accessories, it's easier to find just about everything. And that is something that I don't think people think about. For those of you who used to like to watch Doomsday Preppers, one of the biggest flaws I always found in that show was these guys were always planning on going it alone. I think there might have been one or two episodes where there was a group, but these guys were always planning on going it alone. That's just not going to work out. It's not. You're going to need a team. And for that team to fully function, a team needs to be interoperable, and you need to simplify your logistical chain as much as possible, and the AR does that. So if you're done listening to Ramstein and now you're angry, comments are down there, hit them. I'm sure that's going to be fun. But I mean, that's my honest thought on this. Now, when it comes to mags and ammo and other accessories for, you know, your rifle and your pistol, you need mags. You need probably at least 6 mags per gun. I would say you probably need 10 to 12 mags per gun. I mean, more is always better, right? The kind of concept between 10 to 12 is that you can keep mags, you know, kind of loaded as your ready service mags. You can still have mags to go to training with without having to download your ready service mags. You can rotate your mags, you know. Magazines do degrade over time if you leave them loaded. Now, granted, it takes a long time, but it does happen. And if you happen to have a mag that gets damaged, you can rotate it into the training side and then, you know, fill back in on the ready service. If you break a mag or it gets stepped on or it gets crushed somehow, it's not a big deal if you have more mags. But if you only got like 3 mags, you just lost a third of your capacity right there. So you need more mags is better. With that in mind, you're only going to be able to hold so many on you. So let's not go crazy. You can have lots of them at home, but realize that when it comes to ready stock, you're only going to be able to carry so many before your knees give out or whatever. When it comes to ammo, it used to be that you could go out, grab some ammo at Walmart on your way to the range, shoot, have fun, and whatever. It's simply not that easy anymore. Between political pressure on retailers, consumer pressure on retailers, and then just the general unstable nature of the ammo supply chain right now, you've got to have a stockpile on hand. And realistically, if you're prepping, you need a stockpile of ready service ammo, like your hollow points, and a stockpile of stuff you're going to go out and shoot. I would say probably in the 500 to 1,000 round range, depending on how much you shoot. If you're a lower volume shooter, you're probably closer to 1,000 rounds. If you're a higher volume shooter, you could be way more than that. I was talking to a guy the other day who said he ordered 500,000 rounds of ammo. Man, that would be nice. I'm not gonna lie. I get a lot of fun with that. But anyway, I also realized that you have budgets, and several thousand rounds of ammo may not be in your budget, but after that initial purchase of the 1,000 rounds, as you shoot it, you buy more, and you just keep that stock, constantly being refreshed, so that when these surges happen, like is happening right now between COVID and the unrest and so on, you don't get stuck without ammo to either train with or, defend yourself with. So we are at the point where we can't really ignore that anymore. We have to plan for that. And yes, preppers have been saying it for years, but we've got to move past just preppers doing it. Your average gun guy needs to start thinking about it now, actually having a stash of ammo on hand. Accessories for your AR, once again, because you need an AR. Red dots and lights. You need red dots and lights. Obviously, I already talked about mags and ammo. And when I say red dots, let me rephrase. You need an electronic or magnified optic of some sort. So whether it's a low power variable optic or a red dot, that's up to you and what you think your mission is going to be. But you need something to enhance your capability on the aiming front. And then you need a flashlight, because flashlights help you with target ID. A lot of these violent uprisings happen at night, and you are going to have to positively ID your targets. We are not in anarchy yet, so if, God forbid, you get stuck and you actually end up firing, you are gonna have to explain how you identified the individual you were shooting at, because you're going to have to explain what they did that justified your use of force, because you are still going to end up in court. It's going to happen. So in summary, because that was a lot of talking, defensive handgun first, because you're going to use it a lot, or you should be using it a lot, carrying it a lot. Defensive rifle needs to be an AR. It needs to have a sight, it needs to have a light, and it needs to have ammo and mags for it. So does your defensive pistol. Anyway, hope this was useful. I may have just, repeated what a whole bunch of other people have already said. Probably did, actually. But, if I repeated it and maybe it clicked with you this time, then that's a good thing. So I really do hope this was useful for you. If it was, like, share, all that fun stuff. If you'd like to, support us, I would greatly appreciate it. We do have a Patreon page, and obviously, any support you can give us on social media is also a positive. If you think I am all sorts of all over the place, or you have a question, or you have a comment section, please hit it. I do read them. I do respond to them. And thank you really for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.